It's a high drive, center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. Pujols sends one in the air. It's deep to left. Taylor's back at the wall. It's 700. Soaring into history. Fastball hit to left. It is long gone.
Hello and welcome to Swing for Contact Baseball. It is February 22nd. It is episode 5. I'm joined by two Rangers colleagues above my head, and we are talking about the Astros and Rangers Deep Dive 2023 projections. First on the docket, your World Series defending champions, Houston Astros, had 106 wins last year and 56 losses with a run differential of plus 219. The friendly confines of Minute Maid Park gave them a 55-26 edge, while they were 51-30 on the road. Their hitting ranks, for the most part, were in the top 10. Starting pitcher ranks, really kind of in the top 5, and that bullpen really kind of sealed the deal late in the year. Coming off of last year's season, what is the initial thoughts from last year to this year for you guys with Houston?
Houston,
go ahead.
my bad. Houston kind of turned one of their biggest weaknesses. I think they turned it into one of their biggest strengths. That year against the Braves, whenever they ended up losing the World Series, Braves had a really good bullpen, and you saw that come into play. You saw them winning games because of that bullpen. I don't think Houston had they didn't have as scary of a bullpen. They went and they have beefed that up, and now that's one of their biggest strengths right now, I believe. And you're seeing a lot of teams start to copy it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sophomore year for Pena coming up. Got to worry about the sophomore slump. I think it's a little over exaggerated. I don't think it's like as big as people see it, because usually sophomore year, if they played a lot during their first year, they're going to see some injury. They're going to miss a couple games. If I'm an Astros fan, I really love this team. Only 2 weaknesses, I think. Can definitely see them in the World Series again next year. I'll let you go for it now.
Yeah, you pretty much hit it on the head. This team is really, really good, even despite losing maybe the best pitcher on the team. Still, just they're so good. I think we were talking the center field and catcher spot were your 2 weaknesses, Aden, right?
Yeah.
Everything else, if you look at their lineup right now, everything else is completely, almost perfect. And I feel like this team has the perfect formula to go back-to-back this year. When you have your starting pitcher ranks in the top 5 and you have your relief pitching ranks mostly in the top 5, you're going to have success, obviously. And the bats in Houston, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. And adding Abreu to fill that Gurriel spot, I think you get a lot of production out of him this year with that too. So yeah, I see the Astros, if they don't win the World Series, I see them making a deep run for it at least.
I'm pretty much on the same page. Looking at their roster losses coming off the year, you guys alluded to losing Justin Verlander, which, anytime you lose a Cy Young Award winner, it's like, oh, okay, this could be a problem. Maybe not. And then some trade deadline acquisitions. Christian Vasquez behind the plate gone, who caught the no in the World Series. Trey Mancini, who had a pretty bad playoff but stepped in when Yuli got hurt in the World Series, got a sac fly, made a really great play at first base in that last game in Philadelphia. And then left-handed pitching Will Smith out of the bullpen, who came from that Braves bullpen over to Houston in the Jake Odorizzi trade. So all 3 of the trade deadline moves are out. Other guys that are gone, Aledmus Diaz, who is that kind of perfect Swiss Army knife utility player, he's gone. Nico Goodrum, who they signed as like a really kind of late acquisition, I think last year, never really caught on. I think he was actually kind of released in the middle of the year. Yuli Gurriel still kind of out there in free agent limbo. Not sure where that's going to land just yet. Pitchers Josh James, Flames James is gone. Jason Castro retired. Glad to bring him back last year, and he retires an Astro following a knee surgery. And then first base prospect Taylor Jones, I think, just signed a deal with the Angels, so he's on their 40-man now. So good for them. It's kind of crazy because like there's no one to really add. You know, they re-signed Montero and they re-signed Brantley, and then they brought in Abreu, and that's the only move that they really had to make. So you're basically just returning the same team, and then you're just plugging it in with some more young guys around. Looking at free agents that could go out the door this year, Michael Brantley's on the 1-year deal. Martin Maldonado's in his last contract season. Ryan Stanek is a potential free agent. Phil Maton of the bullpen's a potential free agent, and then Hector Neris has a club option at the end of the year. The core, the guys that are still going to be around for a little while, Jordan's locked up to 2029. Javier, 28. McCullers is still in the books until 27. Jose Abreu for the next 3 years. Framber Valdez for the next 3 years. And Kyle Tucker for the next 3 years.
So I do have something to say with Kyle Tucker. What are you thinking? Because I could definitely see him testing free agency out. I don't know. I don't know like what his thoughts are on staying in Houston, but I could see him testing it out. Do you think that the Astros are going to be willing to pay him what he's going to want?
I know Dana.
He's going to want it. He's going to want a good payday.
Oh yeah, and he'll get one no matter where he goes. I think. I know Dana Brown has like he's mentioned Kyle Tucker by name as a guy that he's actively pursuing and pursuing pretty hard. You know, when he first got hired, he kind of name dropped Tucker, Javier, and Framber, and so like he went out and got the Javier deal done in like 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure Tucker's on his next to-do list. So,
Okay.
You know, coming back-to-back 30-30 season, like he could have a 30-30 season, back-to-back 30 home run seasons for him. All-Star, Gold Glove, like he's going to command a payday pretty much anywhere he goes, I think. But it'd be great if we could lock him up for a while because he's going into his age 26 season, still has plenty of years to be really good.
A lot younger than I thought.
Yeah, between him and Jordan are basically the same age. And so, on the 40-man, you know, you lose Verlander, but you bring in baby Verlander, who got some call-up time last year. Hunter Brown is kind of turning some heads last year and then got some playoff run. He actually went from like nowhere near the top 50 prospects to now he's the Astros #1 prospect in the organization and a number 43 in Major League Baseball, which anytime you make your debut, you typically go down. So I think you even would have been higher if you didn't get called up, which is kind of weird. We'll see how he does. And then there's a handful of other guys that could get some action on the 40-man, but I think this team is pretty much set in stone. Looking at the depth chart, you know, you got Maldonado, which there's no secret that he's probably the weakest bat of the group.
He's got the good defense.
He's got, what he brings behind the plate and being able to catch a no-no in Yankee Stadium and gun guys out at second. You know, a lot of people didn't realize this, but he's played basically that last half of that season on like with I think a broken hand and then a hamstring injury, and he just played through it, which is kind of crazy. But he had a very nice 69 OPS plus last year, which is not very good. But you take whatever he gives you offensively is gravy. I mean, basically he's the rally starter in that Game 6 World Series game because he got hit on the elbow with Wheeler. He moved up in the box and then like just played on top of the black basically and got on base and started that 3-run rally that led to the Gordon bomb. So whatever he gives you offensively, you take. But they've got 2 catchers behind him. Corey Lee came up kind of middle of the year last year, I think, and saw some run. And then there's another prospect, Yanier Diaz, who could see some time behind the plate. Those are their 3 catchers. And I think Maldonado is probably in his last year this year. And whoever between those 2 young guys kind of takes the reins will become the starting catcher moving forward. So it'll be curious to see if either one of them can duplicate his glove work or be a good enough bat to be like, well, it's worth, you know, sacrificing what you lose with Maldonado's glove to put one of those bats in there.
What's Corey look like in his? I know you said he got a little bit of work last year. What do he look like in those? I mean,
So
I didn't see or pay attention to that.
Corey Lee only got 12 games at the major league level.
12 games?
Yeah, 12 games. And they were very much cup of coffee. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm kind of flailing at the ball at the major league level kind of games. 12 games, and he had basically a negative value in those 12 games. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if he can just be like, step one for him is to like get back on the field, and step two is like get to like a 50 OPS plus or a 50 runs created plus, and then we can start talking like, okay, can he actually start stealing playing time? Because based off his very small sample last year, it's pretty shaky.
So then y'all got probably one of the biggest pickups of the offseason. I got a Abreu.
Yeah.
Y'all have him through what, 2026?
Yeah, 3-year deal. So 23, 24, 25, and then in 26 he becomes a free agent again. Abreu, I hate losing Yuli, but at the same time, his production last year just wasn't where it needed to be. He turned it on in the playoffs. He had a pretty good playoff. But it was probably time to move on and make sure you get somebody at first base who's gonna, drive in runs. And that's something that Yuli just did not do last year, unfortunately.
Abreu will do.
And it's something that Abreu will do. And I think him playing in Houston with that Crawford boxes could really kind of rejuvenate his power numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
Altuve came in last year and had, like, among qualified batters, was top 5 in runs created plus, which I think you won't see that again. I don't think you get that production from Altuve again. But until he doesn't produce, I expect him to produce. So
I'd be careful. I was about to say, I'd be careful saying that, man. Every year I've thought Altuve doesn't have that. He's come out and completely proved me wrong.
The thing about Altuve that I did really like this past year is that his walk rate finally went up over 10%. For the first time in his career, he had a higher walk rate than 9.9.
When you start getting up there in age, kind of got to do that to keep it going.
He's going into his age 33 season, hit 28 bombs, walked almost at 11%, and struck out under 15%. So, he was putting together good at-bats and put together a 6.64 season. So, like, you can't complain at all about his numbers. 164 runs created plus. His WOBA was almost 400. Like, he had a great year. And so, I expect him to have another good year at the top of the lineup. I don't know if we're going to get that production, but I expect him to be good still. Bregman had a bounce back year. Pena, I think, is kind of the weird little X factor in a way. Because, like, you look at him and he won the Gold Glove for American League shortstop last year. Great, phenomenal job as a rookie. That's never been done. You never had a rookie shortstop win the Gold Glove. But like his on base last year was under 300. He had a pretty good slug. Like he got 22 bombs throughout the year. Had some really clutch hits in 136 games. But that K rate his K rate right now is at 24% from last year. And he just wasn't getting on base enough. And so
you see that a lot with the young guys.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing about Pena that a lot of people don't realize this. He didn't play a single game in AA. And he only played like 30 games at AAA.
Okay.
So like the high majors.
I did not know that at all.
The high majors, he had no like playing experience really. He had 130 at bats in AAA and 0 in AA. So for him to come up last year and just start producing was kind of crazy. So like he saw a big jump from what he was used to seeing. So if he can get that on base up some and still perform a high defensive value. Like if he's a league average bat, I'm great. But if he could get to like a 110 OPS plus and just get that walk rate just a little bit higher, now it's like, okay, now you've got a freaking player to play shortstop with for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Enough is going to be talked about. Tucker and Jordan. I mean, those two guys are two of the best lefty bats in the game. Jordan might be the best young hitter in baseball. Thanks, Dodgers, for that Josh Fields trade. That sucker just keeps coming in clutch for us.
Shout out Josh Fields.
Shout out Josh Fields. And then in center field, like Chas McCormick kind of had this weird season out in center where like he played a really good center field defense and was exactly league average with the bat. And at the end of the day, like, if you can play really good center field defense and be league average, I'm cool with that. Like, if that's what McCormick's trajectory is for the next 3 years, sign me up. I'll take that because I've got 2 guys next to him in the corners that can bop for him.
Yeah.
And that catch he made in Philadelphia, I still think back, like, it's one of the best playoff catches I've ever seen.
That is pretty good.
And so
I do want to go back to the Bregman thing. His career resurgence. Where did that come from, man?
yeah,
I mean,
like you saw
was
Bregman's peak probably in 2019, I think. I don't think he'll ever get back to like MVP top 5 votes.
Mhm.
But he's slick with the glove. He's gonna give you plus defensive value over there. And then
That's watching.
yeah, he had 136 run created plus and 130 something OPS plus, and like a year where offensive numbers were suppressed. The fact that he was like getting you an 800 OPS was like, okay, like I can rock with that. If Bregman can hit another 25 home runs and drive in another 90 runs, hitting between Jordan and Tucker or in front of Jordan, like that's a great guy to have there. And he's just got that clutch factor, man. I don't know what it is. Like, so I think back to that World Series game too, where Jordan gets hit in his hit, facing Alvarado. Alvarado gets Bregman down 0-2 on 2 like cutter sliders. And then he comes high heat, but he gets it just low enough that Bregman can get his handle to it. He drives it to right field, just takes the ball the other way, drives in another run, I think 2 runs. And then, the Yankee home run, like he just has a flair for the dramatic. And as long as he's coming in clutch in those situations, I don't really care what his regular season numbers look like. Just keep doing it in the clutch moments. But him and Altuve, I think another interesting thing for Dana Brown at the GM spot is, are they going to be able to re-sign both of those guys and keep another young guy on a contract? So it'll be interesting to see, because Bregman and Altuve both end at the same time on their current deals. And that's 1 year before arbitration ends for Tucker and Fromber. So, like, it could get to a really sticky situation. Like, okay, how much money are you willing to put towards all 4 of those guys?
Yeah.
But, the thing is Crane has money right now, so spend it, baby. Let's go. Looking at the pitching rotation, you got Fromber, who broke the record for quality starts, which, I'll be honest, I did not see coming last year.
Don't worry, it'll be in a Rangers uniform soon.
Yeah. Well, you have the former quality start holder with DeGrom, and then if you bring in Fromber, then yeah, y'all have some quality start machines.
I don't know, man. I don't know what the criteria is for quality start sometimes, because I remember watching one of the games he pitched against us, and I was sitting there thinking, oh, he's losing this quality start. I mean, like, we had 2 runs in the first couple innings. I think we had 3 or something while he pitched. Is it 3 runs? Is that as much?
3 runs, 6 full innings.
I think we ended up getting 3, and we got like our first 3, the first 3 innings. I was like, oh, he's definitely losing this. And, whenever I ended up seeing the streak was still going on after that game, I was like, well, that's bull crap. He gave up 3 runs in like first 3 innings. That shit counts as a quality start.
But then he locked in and held it down for 3 more. So
I guess, man.
It's not always how you start. It's how you finish that outing.
Nah.
And then, I guess the de facto number 2 now definitively is Javier.
I think he'll be the one.
Oh, okay.
But, like, I think Framber, maybe in the depth chart, he'll be number 1. But I think Christian's going to be the guy.
I got you.
The guy.
Either way, it really the only time it matters when you're the one is the first game of the season and the first game of the playoffs. Like, that's the only time it really matters. Other than that, you're just running on who's rested and who's ready to pitch.
Oh, look at his strikeout rate, man. That looks like a reliever's strikeout rate.
Yeah, he had a strikeout rate of 33.2 last year, which was the only guys higher than him were Brian Abreu in the bullpen and Presley in the bullpen. So, yeah, if he can do that, and if he keeps getting better with his true secondary pitches, like he's fastball like 65-70%, and then he's that slider a lot. but like his curveball's getting better, his changeup's getting better. So as he just becomes a little bit more developed as a pitcher, like it's kind of scary what maybe he could do if he puts it all together.
You should add a cutter.
Right now, just let that four seam fly, baby.
It's-
McCullers is going to start the season probably on the IL, flexor strain.
That's a given every year.
Yeah, it seems that way. I was hoping for 150 innings out of him a few weeks ago. Now I'm hoping for like 115 innings.
You may have to lower that a little bit more.
Maybe, but I'm going to hope for 115 right now. He came back last year and, he threw about 50 innings of 2.27 ERA ball. Like when he came back and looked good. And then he got his last two outings were against the Yankees, which was just kind of okay. And then that World Series outing, which was rough to watch.
That was bad.
Like, as a fan of the team, and I turned that game off for a little while and like went and did something else, then came back and turned it back on. But like, that was a rough game for him.
I thought the Phillies were in the series after watching that game. Like I was stoked.
I'm really hoping that 2021 Lance comes back at some point, because what he was that year, like he kind of earned his contract that year, and then since then he's flexor tendon and Tommy John issues and all
Didn't he
kinds
punch
of
a
stuff.
locker or something?
No, that wasn't
Was that a
him.
different guy?
That was a different guy.
It was before the run last year.
Yeah, that was
What
Phil
did he do?
Maton.
Still made time.
He gave up a hit. He gave up a hit to his younger brother who was on the Phillies in that last series of the season, and he went back and like hit a locker and broke a bone in his hand and missed the playoffs. And then so Lance, if he doesn't start the year, that's fine. You just bump Luis Garcia up a notch. You bump Jose Urquidy up a notch, and you just plug in Hunter Brown. So like that's okay with me. Like, Lance, go get healthy. We got a kid. He's ready to go. Hunter Brown last year, if you were asleep under a rock, he pitched in 7 games, 20 innings. I think he got 4 starts, and then 3 relief appearances. Had a K rate over 27%, a walk rate under 10%. Gave up no home runs last year in his major league time. Had a ground ball percentage like almost 70%. Like the dude was just dealing. He got 2 innings of run in the playoffs against Seattle. Saw action against the Yankees. I don't think he actually pitched in the World Series, but he was available for us. I'm hoping for him to be that next guy up in that pitching kind of factory that Houston's been. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, you lose Garrett Cole, bring in Fromber. You lose Zach Greinke, bring in Luis. Lose Verlander. Just bring up Hunter Brown and just keep plugging and playing.
That's my thing with the Astros. This might get like maybe off topic with the. I mean, you could include the pitchers with this. I think the Astros are. I don't think I know. The Astros are so deep in depth. Just like look at it. Like you said, you lose Verlander. Look at your rotation. You bring in Brown. Okay, Lance McCullers doesn't start at the beginning of the year. You bring in Brown. I just think, and shout out to the front office in Houston because they're amazing. But like you said, you lose somebody like with all-star caliber, and you can just go ahead and bring in somebody maybe not as good as them, but still in that same realm. Sorry, I thought I'd interrupt with that. Yeah.
I mean, you never want to like, hey, Hunter Brown, you have to become Cy Young, Hall of Fame, Justin Verlander. But the fact that you came up last year and did what you did, and well, you're just the next guy for us. Like, go get it done, kid. And then offensively speaking, like you lose Springer. We got Kyle Tucker.
Yep.
You lose Carlos Correa, Jeremy Pena, World Series MVP. Plug him in, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
You go from Gold Glove, Platinum Glove Correa to Gold Glove Pena. Who gives a crap who it is? Like, it's just just producing.
It's like my days at Brookshire's, man. You run out of something, you freaking restock that.
Just restock it.
Dang, dude.
There's no window for winning right now in Houston. It's open air concepts and just let the breeze in and go win football games, go win baseball games. XFL's on right now. I'm getting ready to go watch some XFL this weekend. So the outlook, I think, that for the first time in the last 3 years, you didn't lose an important offensive cog. Like Yuli's gone, but like really in the grand scheme of things last year, he wasn't an important cog last year. And so I think the bats are still going to be there. The resurgence from Altuve and Bregman, some people are saying like Altuve probably could have been that third place MVP vote getter instead of Jordan because of what he also brings defensively for you. Which Jordan played the second half of the field basically the entire time in left field. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw any of him like throwing out guys at home. Like he kind of has a cannon. Like I didn't realize he had that strong of an arm.
It's got to have a strong arm. It's going to take him a minute or so to get to the ball.
Yeah, that's true. But the legs are looking healthy right now, so as long as they stay okay, I'm cool with it.
My biggest concern with him in the outfield, I just don't want him to get injured.
Yeah,
especially being one of the bigger bodied guys. I just wish he was first baseman. Like it'd be so much better for me.
In Cuba, he played some first base, I believe, growing up, and then in the minors. So like he played in the Futures game the year before he got called up, and he played first base in the Futures game. So like he has a first base history, and I think probably maybe by the time Abreu's out in Houston, you see Jordan transition to first base. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. Which, my next point, bringing in Abreu, even though his power numbers were down in 22, still had excellent ABs. Expect him to kind of bounce back a little bit. Yeah. And then the big one for me right now is Kyle Tucker. Like he's the X factor. He's the guy that doesn't have the contract yet because he was 5 steals away from being a 30-30 guy last year, which the only other Astro to ever do that was Jeff Bagwell. And so if Tucker goes out and goes 30-30, that could be a problem. And so
he's not like a 30-30 guy.
I don't know how he does it, man. He
gets all his home runs against.
He just like if you took a picture of Kyle Tucker in like the retro Astros jersey and then put the photo in black and white, I would think that he was a player from back then. Like, look at him. You can't tell from the build. Like he just looks like an average guy. I don't know how tall he is.
He's kind of lanky. He's 6'4".
Yeah, I was about to say
he's like 6'4", right at 200.
Like I just think this is a normal guy. I can see him at the supermarket.
And so I don't. Yeah, basically.
I don't get it.
Him and Bregman came in the same draft. So we took Bregman with the number 2 pick out of LSU, and then with the 5 pick from the year prior, for the Brady Aiken, I think, compensation pick, we drafted Tucker with the 5th overall pick. And there's a lot of red circles on his Baseball Savant page, man. Like, Jordan gets a lot of love, and he should. Like, Jordan's a freak. But like the outs above average, the whiff percentage, the barrel percentage, the expected WOBA, the hard hit percentage, like I don't think people really understand like how good of a run producer Tucker really is. And so if he gets that 30-30 season, I think this year, and he gets that payday, I think like he realistically is one of the top 4 right fielders in baseball right now. And right field is a deep position, and I think he's one of those guys. So there's a reason I went out and bought a Tucker jersey, or one of my friends got me a Tucker jersey because I just think he's one of those guys.
He reminds me of a certain player from Atlanta that it was basketball. So he's overshadowed by the 5-star, but he's out there. He's hitting threes, not really threes, but he's doing his thing out there, and he's one of the most fundamental players on the Astros, and it sucks seeing that because I swear he always has big hits against us. Like, and he always pimps it. He looks so smug when he does it. Like, I hate going against him. really hope he leaves in 2026. That would help me, I guess.
For sure.
I don't know, man. Just as a Rangers fan, looking at all these charts and stuff, it just sucks knowing that feels like a couple of years ago. This is kind of where we were, not with the depth and everything. And now we're in the position y'all used to be in, like trying to get back up.
Yeah, y'all kind of feel like 2015 Astros right now. Sorry, Noah, go.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I was agreeing with Aden. No, we'll get into the Rangers in a little bit, but I'm just saying, like, I don't watch the Astros. Like, if they're on or if they're playing Texas and Texas isn't playing and I have time, I'll watch them because they're the other Texas team. But even just looking at the rosters and the depth chart, which we have right here, there's so many household names that I didn't even realize I knew. Like, there's just a lot of household names in Houston, and like Aden said, this feels like 2015, 2016 Texas team, and we just kind of switched positions. But hopefully we switch positions again here in the
what I think would be more fun is if you guys just elevate with us, and then it's just like we're both really good and it becomes like a really good series all the time. Like, to me, that would be ideal. That would be so much fun.
As the Subway series, like I want the Silver Boot series on ESPN as soon as
like when y'all were good. At kicking the crap out of us, like it wasn't fun. Like
it was fun for me.
It's fun for y'all.
I enjoyed that.
And so like half the people are getting the enjoyment, and then when we're kicking the crap out of y'all, only half the people are getting the enjoyment. And so like I just think it'd be a lot more fun if both teams were really good.
Watching pre-drugs Josh Hamilton come out and absolutely waylay on any team we played against was like peak life.
Yeah, man.
My last roster notes real quick on that bullpen that we kind of started with. So like to me it started with like the Royals in 2015. So like the Royals went out and they had like some guys that could start for them, but like their strength and the reason why they were in the World Series and like that team to beat was they had a dominant, deep bullpen. And then you get into the World Series runs with Houston, 2019. You had a couple guys for that Astros team, but the bullpen was probably the weakest part of the team. You had three aces: Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Zach Greinke, Thielen. You had the number one ranked offense in like the last 30 years of baseball, smoking. But when it got late, there wasn't that killer instinct to the bullpen. And what happened? Howie Kendrick hits a pole in Houston Game 7 and they lose it. Where the bullpen gave up like 5 runs that game. That's the problem.
That was like the first noticeable case of that.
Yes.
You remember that Detroit Tigers like starting pitching unit? I'm like, this is on
Max
the other side
Scherzer,
of
Justin
this.
Verlander.
They had one of the nastiest looking, and they ended up not. I mean, they didn't meet expectations. They had a very weak bullpen, and we're getting to the day and age where if you don't have a strong bullpen, you're not going to be able to get over the hump. You need that bullpen badly, and credit to the Astros for going out and immediately recognizing that after their World Series loss to the Braves.
Yeah, that's the next one. Just
getting everyone they can. And I mean, it's a stacked bullpen.
So here's the thing about the bullpen too, and this is the part that I still haven't really wrapped my mind around what it means yet. That bullpen set the playoff record last year for the ERA by a bullpen, and they didn't lose a single arm. Like Will Smith leaves in free agency, he didn't make a single playoff appearance for us.
Did he not?
No, we didn't use him one time in the playoffs. He was only on the roster for the World Series. He wasn't on the roster for the DS or the CS. And so the bullpen that just set the standard for playoff ERA is returning everyone. And that to me is like, that might be the ticket. That might be how they just do it again.
It's really hard to win 2 in a row, but y'all have every piece, in my opinion. Y'all aren't sure on bats. Y'all aren't sure on pitching. Who'd y'all hire? New GM?
Dana Brown. So he comes over from the Braves. So the guy that was that was like part of constructing all those contracts for like their young guys. Like,
he's walking into a gold mine right now, man.
Oh, yeah.
The next 5 or 6 years.
Kyle Tucker's about to get 7 years, $20 million, and be locked up until I'm dead.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. Look at the DraftKings stuff real quick so we can wrap up the Astros. I'm getting tired of talking. I need you guys to bring some heat for me with the Rangers. The World Series odds are plus 600. They're currently the DraftKings favorite. They're the West winner, or at least they were when I filled this thing out. The West winner, minus 180. So I think that one's kind of a lock in their eyes. Their regular season for DraftKings over-under is 95.5. Even though we're not playing the West as much, I think because you get to play the Central a little bit more, I'm probably taking the over on that, but that's a minus 110. So again, I think even they think it's a pretty easy over.
That's good for me and Noah. Y'all are behind in the Silver Boot series. As long as we play less games a season, it's going to take y'all a lot longer to catch up. So I'm seeing us ahead for at least another season or two right now.
That's the most Aden thing I've ever heard.
That's all I care about, man. We need that. We need to keep that lead.
And then from a player perspective, Alvarez as the home run leader for the season's plus 1,000. Javier strikeouts for you, Aden. He's plus 3,500. So if you want to win a little bit of money and you think he's going to bring that strikeout rate, he's plus 3,500 right now.
I just put the house on it.
Yeah, there you go. Alvarez, 5th in MVP at a plus 1,100. Tucker, 11th at 2,500. Bromber getting a little love at the Cy Young, and Javier at 14. They're 1,500 and plus 2,000 respectively. And then Rookie of the Year, Hunter Brown, plus 800. So there's a lot of things I like, obviously. I would love nothing more than to see him run it back. I think they obviously can. And to me, it's going to be, is Pena that guy? Can Altuve and Bregman hold their water and stay steady? And then what's Michael Brantley going to look like coming off of shoulder surgery? Like, to me, that's the big question mark, too.
So I'm trying to get this to load real quick, and then I'll go off of it. Fangraphs actually released, they apparently put some numbers together and some projections, and they released their World Series projections, actually.
Ooh, okay. While you pull that up, I'll just do this. The Fangraph projection for Jordan right now is 5.8 WAR, which isn't everything, but they do have him at 40 home runs, 120 RBI, which would be fantastic. And they have Tucker getting back up to 30 home runs again, but they only have him at 22 stolen bases. So I'm curious to see if maybe he's a little bit more aggressive on the base pass with the whole pickoff rules and pitch clock stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then they have Pena still playing a league average offense, but still being very valuable defensively. Fromber with a 22% K rate, they pretty solid fit. And then your boy Javier, they still have him thinking over 30% strikeout rate going into this year. So, all right. So looking at the team up 45 in blue and red, we got the Texas Rangers coming off another part of that kind of rebuild look, that retool look from last year. Obviously hit some struggles along the way, but made some big additions. So really quickly, Aden, take us through last year's schedule, and then let's take a look at that roster.
So we started off pretty rough last year. Ended up going 68 and 94. After the rough start, I believe it was 40 something games into the season, we ended up getting back to 500. Then a bunch of injuries started adding up. Pitching just wasn't there last year, so really struggled in the East. Had this same home and away record. That's not good at all. We gotta get the home record up a little bit. Central about even in. West, of course, we're down in that. And a lot of this stemmed from really our pitching. We were in the bottom 20 in almost every pitching category except for strikeouts and home runs for 9. It wasn't to standard last year. Our starting rotation it was out of whack quite a bit. And you kind of saw that's really where we focused this season, was going out and getting those starting pitchers. Our hitting was okay last year. our on-base percentage, we don't have a lot of guys drawing walks, of course. But our guys were some big swingers. Our average was down, of course. I'm not a big average guy. I think y'all know that. Our runs, home runs, and stolen bases, all really good. They've all been aggressive under this system, especially Simeon. Simeon, I believe, he was breaking his record for stolen bases near the beginning of last year, like first 40, 50 games in. It was wild. Of course, our starting pitching sucked. Our relief pitchers, our relievers lost us a lot of games, I thought. Go out there, 1-2 run lead, they give it up. The ERA, whip, those are about middle of the pack. Walking people was a huge issue for them. Never want to see that with relievers, especially with a low strikeout per 9. They just weren't getting guys out like that. They were getting the ball in play, or they were walking people, and it really led to a lot of big innings from the opposing team once we got our bullpens in. Middle of the pack and home runs too. That's okay. Like I'm not upset as much about that, but like we were talking about with Houston, we really need to get that strong bullpen if we want to be one of those contending teams that I think we can be soon. Lost Matt Moore. That really hurts in my opinion. He would have been the number 1 reliever this year. Lost Cole Calhoun. Not as upset about that. He's getting up there in age. I don't really think he's got that much longer as a bat. Our Haro was really bad for us. Garrett was okay. He's not a big loss, though. Neither were the other two. So now we're going to get on like our additions. This, as a Rangers fan, I've never felt this like spoiled. Like I don't think we've ever, in my life and Noah's, we haven't really ever got to see something like this. We've never got to spin this big and just go through it.
I think we just kind of like walked in at the right time when we really started watching Rangers when we were younger, and we were spoiled with what we already had. Mm-hmm. And then now that we're terrible again, we get to be spoiled. We get to be spoiled with these new roster ads. So I'll let you.
Real quick, what was like the first year that y'all remember watching Rangers baseball?
Okay, I'll take this because this is
real quick.
Sorry.
Not
okay. I know. So I remember. Shout out Bobby Mason. He took me to my first Ranger game when I was about 10. So what is that? 10 years ago. So probably about 2013, 2010, 2013-ish. That's when I really first started watching and getting baseball. So yeah, go.
Okay, Aden. I'm guessing with you having a little bit of a pedigree in Major League Baseball, though, you were probably watching a little bit earlier, maybe?
I watched. Okay, so I was a baseball guy a little bit earlier. Rangers, as much of a baseball guy as you can be as a little kid, I guess. 2011, that really good year. I mean, I would always say I've been a Rangers fan, but whenever I first kind of like started paying attention was that 2011 year. So I guess it's kind of whenever I could have cohesive thoughts about that stuff. And that year, like Noah said, we were really spoiled. It feels like those couple of years we were a really good team, and then it kind of all went to crap. And it's been so long since we've seen the Rangers put out a good team, and a lot of that has been management and coaching. We haven't had good management or coaching in front office in so long. Now that we've got it, we're seeing them making moves, and it's a blessing, to be honest, as a Rangers fan.
Yeah, so, y'all shelled out a lot of money last year on some position players, and then made some good moves with like the Nate Lowe trade and things like that. And then obviously, recreating a brand new pitching staff basically in the last 8 months has been kind of wild to see. So, just roster ads. Let's hear it real quick.
So, I'm gonna go over our like kind of big additions. DeGrom, like I've already said, that's huge, big pickup. He's healthy. Best number 1 in the league. He's what you want, and he's going to bring you everything you want if he stays healthy. Our possibly, I think, most underrated signing, and he could be the biggest impactor of this season, is Eovaldi. He's been playing with the big monster. His ERA doesn't look good. I'm not a big ERA guy, kind of like I'm not a big average guy. I think there's some more important stats out there. His FIP. He always has a good FIP, it seems like. He's among league leaders usually in that category. I believe in 2021 he led the league, or was it 2020? He led the league in FIP. He's going to come out. He's in a hitter-friendly ballpark now. I really think that he's going to put it together. He's going to showcase himself as a great 2. And I feel like there's a lot of teams he could be a 1 on, even though they may not be the better teams, of course. But I think he could be the 1 on some teams. Ended up getting Andrew Heaney from the Dodgers. He kind of had a little breakout year last year. There's a couple ballparks he doesn't do good in, New York being one of them. He's not very good in New York. But I don't know what to expect from him, to be honest, because he was kind of under the radar for me before this season. Like I never really heard of him. I've looked at some stuff since we ended up signing or trading for him. Talked to some people about him. That's kind of where I found out the whole New York thing, that he's not good up there. And I'm not going to get my hopes high for him because I don't know what he can bring. But he's going to be our 4, so I expect him to be able to produce like a 4 will.
Yeah, the thing about Heaney, I think, he'll be able to add to your strikeout ratio kind of numbers. Like, he's got some put away type stuff, and it was just always being a matter of being able to suppress runs and being able to pitch innings while striking guys out. He kind of had that kind of breakthrough year this past year of the Dodgers. So if he can do it again, that would be a pretty big thing for y'all.
Last one I'm going to go around the additions. We signed him recently, Robbie Grossman.
Robbie!
I don't see him as an everyday guy. He rakes lefties from what I've heard. And that's going to be good, but they got him projected to start left field. I would probably like some other people starting there. I'd like him to platoon a little bit with Brad Miller, get a little lefty-righty action going, given they've got their respective good sides. We'll see what he does. I'm not expecting a lot, like I've said. I really hope and have hoped we would go out and get another outfielder. I don't know if they're putting their faith into Evan Carter or if they think Bubba Thompson's going to make a leap, or maybe Josh Smith or Ezekiel Duran. Please be Ezekiel Duran or Bubba Thompson. I love both of them. I don't see him being an everyday guy.
That's fair. I mean, Robbie, when he came up with the Astros, he was kind of an on-base guy. He didn't really do a whole lot else. He played good defense in the corners and drew walks. He was kind of like a Moneyball-esque player, right? And then he's made a career since leaving the Astros in the trades. He's 33 and still doing it, so I'm happy to see him still playing ball. He was one of the guys that when we were awful, he was at times he would be like, well, at least Robbie's getting on base. It was like him and Altuve were getting on base at least. So I was like, hey, maybe something fun will happen here. And then you guys had a couple other minor league signings. Like Ian Kennedy could find his way into the bullpen and be a decent addition at some point. Sandy Leon has a catching background and has had some good years with Boston before. And then Yoshi and Littell, there's a couple other additions that might not be headline kind of additions, but the fact that you're adding pieces, not being afraid to add pieces around the guys that you signed, is a good showcase for the front office, I think.
So some of our free agents next year, we're really going to need to lock up Martin Perez. He's a really interesting case.
He is interesting.
He had that year last year came out of nowhere. He's been looked at, I think, before last year as kind of not a very good pitcher throughout his career.
Yeah, he's always been kind of an inconsistent guy, or just not really had the flash kind of stuff. He was with Boston before Texas, right?
Yes.
And, pitching in Boston is hard sometimes. Same kind of thing with Evaldi for you. So, but a career year last year, see if he can do it again.
Which, shout out to our catching coach. I feel like we produced so many catchers recently, like good guys. We gave the Yankees Trevino, which wasn't that good here. They're as good here, I didn't think. But I think a big thing of Martin Perez breaking out was Johnathan. Johnathan was one of the best framing catchers in the league last year, and that's kind of where Martin Perez sits. He's going to be sitting on the edges, throwing his sinker, he's throwing his couple other things, and he's trying to get the corners, and he's with Johnathan catching. Jonah's framing it so well, and I really think that had a huge effect on his game.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair
It led to
assessment,
a
I think.
lot more punch outs.
There's one good thing that John Daniels did. It was trade Andrus for Heim. I cried when that happened. We got Jonah Heim in that trade, and we most definitely won it. So,
I think your mom wrote a pretty nasty Facebook post on that day.
yeah, she was not happy. She was not. I don't think she knows anybody on the team anymore. She was a big reason why I knew a lot about the Rangers. But when that went down, it was not a good day in the Davis household. Yeah.
So then we got Andrew Heaney. We're probably going to be looking to re-sign him because unless we've got Leiter coming up the next year,
Heaney's got a player option, so like it's not really up to you guys.
Oh, I didn't even see the PO.
Yeah,
that's my fault. So he's got a player option. I'm really hoping he decides to stick around. I'm hoping we get Leiter to come up, next year. That'd be a big come up for him, or even at the end of this year if he's showing stuff. Last year he really had trouble with command, and I think that's a little bit more common of a guy like him. I believe he started. When was it? He was in AAA, like halfway through the season, Noah.
Sorry, who was it?
Leiter.
Leiter.
Yeah, no, he's double A.
He's double A. Has he been? Okay. Well, he was up in Double A like really early through the season last year, and I mean that's not seen as much with those guys that are just drafted. Of course, he had the command issues, but whenever his stuff looked good, if he could just get the command down, maybe into this year, maybe next year coming out, I'd really like to see him in the rotation.
Is he on the 40-man right now?
Is he?
1 second.
I don't think he is.
If he's not on the 40-man, I wouldn't plan
on
on seeing him this year.
Yeah, I don't think he is, and I really, honestly, I mean, you guys know I work at the stadium. Just by what I see, I don't think he's ready. Not this year.
Oh, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready right now. I do think this offseason is going to help him, though. I know he's on the spring training roster.
Well, he's hanging out with Greg Maddux, so that's helping.
Dude, I thought he was going to get dealt this offseason, and I was going to be so mad.
You thought he was going to get what?
I thought he was going to get dealt, traded.
I couldn't hear what you said. What happened to Greg? Has anyone seen a picture of him?
Greg Heffley?
Greg Maddux.
He got old, bro. Like it happens.
No, I swear he made that prank video like 5 years ago.
A lot can happen in 5 years, brother. I lost my hair in 5 years.
He looks like he aged by like 20 years.
All right, so jerseys to buy. Seager, DeGrom, and Semien are locked up for a while. So, like, if you're looking for a new Rangers jersey, go get you one of those guys. Nate Lowe is a dude who's underrated, undervalued. So if you want to not be one of the primary jersey holders, you want to be something a little bit different, go get you a Nate Lowe jersey. He's really good baseball player. If prospects are more your thing, well, Ezekiel Duran could become a guy. He'll be around for a while. Sam Huff could become a guy. Josh Young, the big dog that's getting the start at third base. We'll see what he's got. And then Aden's favorite, Bubba Thompson, waiting in the wings too. So you got three dudes that are like gonna be the top jersey sale guys. If you want to be different, go get you a Low jersey. If you like the young guys, there's just a few options that are gonna be around for a while.
Gonna interrupt. I'm buying a Kumar Rocker jersey. We did not mention him. I know he just got drafted this past year. I'm getting a Kumar Rocker jersey.
If you want to wait a couple years, you still have a jersey that you're rocking, and you were like, "Hey, I'm 2 years away from buying a jersey." Then maybe a Kumar Rocker in 2 years will be the move.
Another prospect jersey you may want to look at. Evan Carter.
Is he on the 40-man?
No.
Okay, then wait. Like when they get to the 40-man, like
now. Trust.
Let's not get our hopes too high on prospects until they start producing. But when they make the 40-man, if he's on the 40-man, go for it. Let's look at the depth chart real quick. So obviously Johnathan behind the dish, he's kind of the guy. You can plug Mitch Garver around because he can do that, but probably your next guy up is Sam Huff, right?
Yeah, Sam Huff, I think it was a couple of years ago, he was looking to be starting to come up and looking like the starter, and he just really disappointed me last year. Like, he got his at-bats, and he just wasn't showing anything. And he ended up going back down to the minors because of it. And they brought up, I don't remember his name, to be honest. He's not on the depth chart here, I don't think.
Same off last year in 44 games. He had a OPS plus of 93, which for a catcher, like, you'd probably take that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Hold up.
132 at bats.
Flame Huff.
121 at bats. 4 homers, 240, 303, 372 for a 675 OPS, 93 OPS plus. Like, I don't know, as a backup catcher, I'm taking that. That's better than every catcher we had last year.
I mean, I guess I wasn't watching that because I swear every game I watched, he struck out. Like, I never saw him get a hit. The one home run that I heard about was a game I didn't watch, and I saw it on a post, and it was a bomb. I mean, he's got the power. He's a big swinger. I remember hit a 500-foot in the minors, and I think I showed that to you in class as like a junior.
Yeah, probably.
It was crazy.
Then working our way around the diamond, Nate Lowe had a very undervalued season last year. Probably one of the, I'd say definitely a top 10 first baseman. Probably you can make the argument for him being a top 5 first baseman, right? Like if he does it again, I think this year, like his percentages and his red bubbles on Savant and stuff like that, like he's undervalued right now, and like he's a guy that could very easily sneak into being one of the better first basemen in baseball. So keep him on your watch list. Obviously, everyone knows what Marcus Semien can do at second. And Corey Seager, the big move last year. Is Josh Young going to be able to produce? Like, that's kind of the X factor right now for you guys in the lineup, right?
I think he got up to the majors and he wasn't used. I don't know if he wasn't used to the pitching, which of course he went homer on his first at bat, had me all excited. I was thinking he's about to be the next, I don't know, to be honest. I thought he was about to be the next thing.
The next A-Rod?
If you look at the stats, man, the minor league stats, AAA, he just rakes. I mean, he was injured first part of the year. He came back, and I mean, he was hitting, and he's a truly good hitter at that level. And I need to see it in the majors, because if he becomes sure. That's that next guy in the roster, and I think we're about a bat or two away. And if he's that bat, then I mean, watch out for the Rangers this year, man.
So Young last year had 98 at-bats, and while his batting average is only 204, he only got on base at 235.
He had a high strikeout percentage.
And like that's the thing, is like whenever you go from minors to major league, like there's going to be holes in your swing, and you have to be able to adjust that major league like level breaking stuff, right? Like that's always the thing. And so give him some sample size, let him try to get things done. I have a Josh Young rookie card, like in a little case, just in case he blows up, because like he might blow up.
Actually, there's that Yankees fan I've been telling y'all that like I talked to on one of those group chats. He also said he's high on Josh Young, and he's got a rookie card also.
You so hope that he doesn't become a quadruple A player, right? Like that's the thing, is like you don't want that to happen. If he can find a way to produce, the thing that worries me about him for you guys, and this is a minor worry, because if he can get it done, he can get it done. There's not a whole lot of protection behind him. Like if Semien, Seager, Lowe are above him, which they're projected to be above him in the lineup, and then he's hanging around that 5 or 6 spot, who's going to be in that 7, 8, 9 that's going to maybe let him see a few more fastballs and a few less breaking pitches. But if he can find that out, he could be a guy.
Our best hope there right now would be Ezekiel Duran maybe taking some DH reps, left field spot, center field spot. Because when he was in, I felt like he was hitting pretty good last year. Or Leody Taveras doing what he did for the first bit of when he was in the majors last year. Because I don't know if you saw, Leody started off hot, which I know a lot of rookies sometimes do, and because pitchers aren't used to pitching them, they don't know like what their holes are. But he was hot for a good while. He started slowing down near the end of the season. But I feel like, I don't know if he can break out, but if he does break out, that's going to be the Josh Young protection that he needs.
And kind of like McCormick a little bit, like he was a 93 OPS plus, so he was almost league average and playing a really good center field. And so like I think you take that from that guy, but yeah, if you get him to league average or above league average of the bat, that definitely could solidify it up a little bit. No, you got something?
No, I'm gonna say on Ezekiel Duran. Obviously he came in the Joey Gallo trade with New York. He's a very high thought of prospect while he was in New York. I got to watch him some while he was in Double-A, Frisco, and then he got called up to Triple-A and then eventually to the big leagues. This is my personal opinion. If we cannot find a spot for this guy in the lineup, eventually he's gonna go somewhere else and be the dude for that team, whichever it may be. I really hope we can use this guy. I don't know where because I'll talk about my problem with the young guys on this team later, but just where are you going to put him? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
could he maybe shift into one of those corner outfield spots and become the outfield bat? Maybe.
I would.
No, go ahead.
Personally, we've seen Josh Young. He's not that good of a defender. We've seen him get some first base reps. What I wish the team would do is look into moving Josh Young into the first base position, putting Duran at the third base position, and then they really need to think about putting Lowe at DH. Because while being a good defensive first baseman isn't the biggest thing, Lowe is a terrible defensive first baseman. Like he's one of the worst.
Really?
And he's bad, man.
Okay, I didn't know that. So
he's a pretty bad defensive first baseman. Like you know, he can dig stuff sometimes. Like I don't sit there and I guess watch him make all these. Like it doesn't look like a high school game. They're making errors almost every throw. But
he's no Rizzo. He's no Yuli. He's not that guy. Okay. I got you.
I'm with that. I'm with that school of thought. I really do like that because Duran before Young got caught up. Duran and Josh Schmidt got a couple reps going back back and forth at third, and a lot of people thought it was going to be one of those two guys that were going to be the set in stone, third baseman. And all I can say is Duran is an absolute stud at the hot corner. So maybe that works out the way Aden said. We'll see, but.
All right, let's move to the pitching stuff real quick because we're running out of time here. So, obviously, recreating a brand new pitching staff, and you're 1 through 5, looking at DeGrom, Martin, Nady Eovaldi, John Gray, Andrew Heaney, and then you still have Jake Odorizzi as the 6th / long relief guy. Literally like built a rotation for this team, and so. Like any pitching staff, like there's always going to be innings pitched and run suppression and how many starts can you get out of your guys. There's enough question marks that I think that makes you just slightly hesitant to like be super high, but you also know like from a talent perspective, if things go right for 4 out of 5 of these guys, like it could be really good. And so, DeGrom has so much talked about already. Martin, I think, is the sneaky guy. Like, can he duplicate his success? I think there's a little bit of regression in Martin, but can he still be at that kind of level? That'll be a great 1-2 punch for you.
Yeah.
If John Gray can just eat innings, if he can just come in and throw that hard sinker and eat some innings for you, and then if Eovaldi and Heaney can just not blow up, it could be a really good staff, right? Like, I mean, that's probably best case scenario is if they don't blow up and you get 25 starts out of each of them, you're probably pretty happy.
Yeah. So I went ahead and looked it up because I wanted to know exactly where he ranked. Outs above average, Nathaniel Lowe was 36 out of 36 qualifying first baseman. So.
Awesome.
He's not a good defender.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And I guess the other thing is like if a guy does get hurt, like you have Odorizzi to plug and play, and you have Dane Dunning still you can plug and play. Like Dunning was who did he come in that trade? Like he was the Cleveland trade?
Oh, he was in the Lance Lynn trade
The
with
Lance
Chicago.
Lynn, Chicago. Yeah. Okay.
That was awful.
So
There is another guy that I would like to not talk on, but I'd like to mention in this. Look at Glenn Otto.
I've heard that name.
He's one of those guys that gets put in.
He pitched against Houston, I think, last year at one point.
He did. He pitched a couple games last year. He had to start a couple games for us, or he started a bit. He's got some of the stuff. He's just not there yet in terms of being a good starter. I don't know.
Yeah, very young.
I don't know if he'll ever be a good starter, but if he has to plug and play for a start or two, I could see him doing okay in those starts.
I know why I remember him now too, because like he pitched at Rice. Like he's a Houston area kid. He went to Spring High School, played at Rice, got drafted by the Yankees. Yeah, I remember watching this guy. And he pitched. He had 27 starts last year for you guys, 135 innings. His FIP was a little high. The ERA was probably just higher than league average. Like he wasn't bad. And so like if he tightens the screws down a little bit and just takes another step forward, yeah, that's a good name to be on the lookout for.
And
I noticed that he's really young.
Yeah, really young guy. One thing that I see with the pitching staff, like you said, Ramey, we came in and built nail by nail pretty much a new starting rotation. So that leaves you with Dane Dunning, Taylor Hearn, Glenn Otto, those guys that were in the rotation with Martine and John last year. I think we're going to see those guys be thrown in the bullpen. And one guy that me and Aden are very fond of in the bullpen, and we think really has got to step up this year, is Taylor Hearn. He did not have a good year as a starter. Dane Dunning really didn't either, in my opinion, just as what I saw. Stats might say otherwise. And then, Glenn Otto, I thought he was
good to get the ground ball.
Taylor Hearn Hearn's the big lefty, right?
Yeah. Hearn is, dude, he's got really nice looking stuff. He just can't go deep to save his life. I don't know if he made it out of the fourth inning, but once.
Yeah, I really think he's going to be a big help in this bullpen. And like when we were talking about the Astros, you got to have a good bullpen if you want to take that next step. And obviously that's what we're building on next. We have our lineup, we have our starting rotation, and we need to work on our bullpen. And you have those three guys that I mentioned are coming down, and then you have our farm system arms are really spectacular. So we're going to be in really good place with our pitching in these next, I don't know, however many years. But yeah, I just wanted to say that Otto, Dunning, and Hearn, I'm really going to be honing in on those guys in the bullpen this year. I really hope they get some time in there.
So when I went to watch the Rangers play the Astros in Arlington this past year, I had a doctor's appointment in Plano, and so I went the night before, got a hotel room, and went to a game. I'm pretty sure Hearn started the game that I went to, and for the first 3 innings, he was really good, and then then he just fell apart, like you were saying, and so maybe that middle relief guy that only needs to get 3 outs, like he can get you 3 outs. You just don't ask him to get more than that, maybe.
He's got, if you look at his stuff, it looks like a reliever stuff. I mean, he's got that fireball fastball. I believe he is a good breaker. I can't remember exactly what it is, to be honest, because mostly whenever I think of Taylor Hearn, I'm thinking about his big fastball, his big frame, making it look good. I would like to touch on another thing about our pitchers. All of our starters this year, they're all in their 30s. And a year or so ago, or a little bit more than a year ago, if we did that, I would be more worried than I am now, because we've kind of got the farm to be able to do that, I think. I think we're going to draft another pitcher this year. I think it's going to be the Paul out of LSU. He's a two-way player, but I think he's mainly a pitcher from what I've seen. He's got a really good fastball. I don't think we've been able to say that we've had the farm system to be able to bring up these pitching prospects. But if you look at our farm system, we've got a couple good prospects in the pitching department. And I really think once these guys end up getting older, we're going to be able to rotate the prospects in. Probably not as smoothly as Houston has, because I mean you can't really tell a downgrade. I haven't been able to tell any downgrades every time that Houston moves up a new guy, but I think that we're soon going to be able to move up guys, and you're not going to be able to tell there's a big difference. Like, of course, you go with DeGrom and one of our guys, but with just some of the other guys, you're not going to be able to tell that huge difference. And that's what we need to stabilize ourselves as a playoff contention team every year.
So it's funny you mentioned about the. Sorry, no. It's funny you mentioned about the rotation ages, because I was curious while you were talking about it. So like the average age of the 5 guys currently projected to be the 5, the average age is 32, and then you flip over to Houston and the average age is 27. It's just like bless.
Rotated those guys in, man.
That's you got to build that farm and be able to do that with talent and produce talent. And,
I mean, you got Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, Owen White, Cole Wynn. I'm forgetting somebody. I know I am.
And go ahead and throw Otto in that mix too. Like he could become a starting pitcher again.
We're in a really good spot. I know it's because they're young guys, but you look at it from a broad perspective, the Rangers are in a really good spot with their starting rotation, even pitchers in general, honestly.
Yeah, it comes down to development, and then what will they do when the lights come on? Like, you can have the best ranked farm system in the world, but if they don't produce, it doesn't matter. And so
2-3 years ago, I would not have been happy. Like, even with this good farm system, I knew, or even with these good farm players, I would have known they would have been ruined by our coaches and our management, front office. Now, I think we're in a good spot. I really like the moves that our front office has made to go ahead and get these guys managed by different people. Really think Bruce Bochy, or I don't know if I said that last name right. I may have completely.
You got it. You got it.
He's known, which I know Madison Bumgarner came in and absolutely shoved during them World Series runs. He's known for being able to manage a bullpen. We did not have that, and we have not had that for a while.
I really, that's one of the main things I wanted to touch up on. I'll make it quick, but like I said, I've been a Ranger fan for the longest. John Daniels, I believe, was carried by a really good team that he came into, I'm not really sure. I really don't want to butcher this because I know I'll have a lot of angry people at me. I'm not really sure when he came in, but when he did come in, I know we were good. You had your Prince Fielder, you had your Adrian Beltre, you had your Elvis Andrus when he was productive, you had a killer outfield, and once you saw all these players leave and retire, we trade them off, they go to free agency, you're left with that, and I think John Daniels had the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm a legitimate GM, I can do this, I can craft a team, and then I like Chris Woodward. He did not know how to manage a bullpen. He did not know how to manage a team. I liked him as a guy. He was not a good manager at all. And now he's back in LA. But I will say we pretty much cleaned house, if you will, with our managing staff. Brought in Bruce Bochy, sorry. You bring in Mike Maddox, and that's really big. Really big. A lot of people, I don't think, realize that how big it is to bring in Mike Maddox, and then you bring in Greg Maddox as as a help this spring training, and Tony Beasley. Everybody in Texas loves Tony Beasley, and then one of the big moves I liked, of course, was bringing in Ian Kinsler as a special assistant to the GM, and basically what I'm just rounding up to is the front office is a lot stronger. Chris Young. I'm in love with you, Chris Young. Thank you so much for coming and saving my team. That's pretty much all I got to say. I love you, Chris Young. I love you.
It was your Chris Young Rangers jersey.
It's on the way, man.
There you go. So real quick, let's look at the DraftKings stuff and let's get out of here because we're past time. So currently the DraftKings has them as plus 4,500 for the World Series. They're about middle of the pack in terms of their projection. I don't know if I want to go throw $1,000 on that, but if you do, you could get a nice little payday on it if it hits and everything goes right. The West winner, they're at plus 850, and their regular season is over 82.5. So basically, are they a better than 500 team or are they under a 500 team? Which honestly, from where it's been, the thing I've said since they signed DeGrom has been, okay, goal 1 is to be able to finish the year at 500. And then goal 2 is, can we get a wild card spot? Can we push for a division crown? And so, to me, that's a pretty good line. I think you both have the over on that, right? I would assume.
Yes.
I think it's a really good line. It's tough. It really is, because it could go a lot of ways. But just to bias in me, I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the over. I don't think. I think it's going to be Texas and the Mariners kind of battling it out. We've said that before. I'll say it again. So I don't know that they're a lot over, but I think they're barely over that, which could be fun. And then obviously their MVP, the highest MVP preseason is Corey Seager, plus 2,000, 9th ranked for DraftKings. Cy Young, Jacob deGrom, plus 500 is the top ranked American League Cy Young projection for DraftKings. And then Josh Young, plus 1,200, top 10. So, there's some fun names and some fun storylines going on in Texas, and it'll be fun to see, come trade deadline, like, is this team going to be buyers? Because they could become buyers at the trade deadline, or they could become sellers if things go poorly. Like, you really don't know. But it'll be fun to see. I think there's a lot of fun stuff happening in Texas baseball. So
I don't think my mental stability could take us being sellers at the trade deadline.
Especially with me being an all Dallas guy. I mean, I don't pay attention to basketball that much, but obviously the Cowboys and then Texas, I've paid more attention to the Rangers than any other team in my life. And I got to witness those good teams in the 2010s. And now it's been a struggle, man. Struggle bus. It almost brings me to tears to see how good this team can be. So
has Profar been signed yet?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I know of. So
I have his rookie card.
That a boy.
Rangers need to make some calls to his agent.
Go see if the owner wants to dash out another 20 mil to Profar real quick.
Profar is. I feel like if we add Profar to this lineup, that could be what.
Hey, that could be the protection behind the Josh Young.
That's the protection.
Like, that could be a good move. But
him,
maybe.
Or if we could somehow lowball the Pirates for Reynolds, I would.
Yeah, okay. We got to cut this off. We can just keep going and going. But I think that's been a pretty good deep dive on both teams. Pretty good look at where they're both at. Like I said earlier, it'd be fun to see if both teams in Texas can be good at the same time. That really hasn't been a thing for ever. Like, really. Did Aden just leave?
Didn't need to. Time to exit out of the spreadsheet.
Oh my goodness. Something with this guy, man.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you guys for watching.
So sorry.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our link tree is also going to be in the description with our links to all social media accounts. We also have a contact form if you'd like to maybe reach out and give us your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to read those on a podcast episode maybe in the future. So follow along with us. The MLB season starting up this week. We got spring training games this weekend. I will be watching the Astros play the Mets on Saturday in Florida. I will not be in Florida. I'll be in my house, but I will be watching that game. And yeah, man, baseball's back. I'm excited. So
may need to do a live of that. Me and you.
I'm down. We can do something with that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I thought you worked that day. My bad.
Hey, so I know we're cutting it off. I was told to give a shout out to former MLB pitcher and Texarkana Fox Sports Hall of Fame member and the father of our very own co-host, Philip Norton. Shout out to you, man. All right. Y'all boys in the next episode.
Let's do it.